Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good! And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good! Okay, well let's learn English together. And welcome people, welcome to today. Welcome once more to another brand new, sparkling week. Yes, it's true. Friday evening has long since faded into the past. Saturday and Sunday, those exciting boys of the weekend, they've gone home to have a bit of a lie down. And that means that we meet again, Dr. Potato Head, once more, now, on a Monday. Yes, it's Monday, people. But then again, you all knew that, didn't you? Well, I hope that you were all aware of the fact. If not, well, if you didn't know that it was Monday, then you must have had a pretty wild weekend. And now you're probably late for school, or work, or something else. Quick, phone the boss, phone the teacher. Make up a story so that you don't get into trouble. Say something like, oh, I know, use your dog as an excuse. Tell the boss that your dog forgot to wake you. That sounds believable, doesn't it? What do you mean you don't have a dog? Oh, come on, people. Work with me here. With me, not against me. All right, let me think. Well, have you got a gibbon? Well then, use the gibbon as your excuse. Tell them that the gibbon burnt not only the toast, but also the bacon that it was making this morning for breakfast. And as a result, the smoke detector went off and someone in the next flat called the fire brigade. And then you had to explain that there wasn't an emergency, but the gibbon had burnt your breakfast and, well, that should convince them, shouldn't it? Yeah, go on. Let your imagination take flight. All right, that's that taken care of. Time to get on with the lessons. All right, so this is what? Yes, that's right. This is week 3 of 5. This is the third week of the 5 weeks that we've got lined up for you in the Mega Revision Part 4. So, I presume that you're all ready? Ready for another blast from the English revision machine? All right, so did you all have a great weekend? Did you have fun? Well, let's hope you did. That's the point of the weekend, to relax, have fun and get some rest. Hopefully, you managed to do all 3. Presumably, you had fun on Friday night, the very best evening ever invented. Then perhaps you had a bit of a rest on Saturday morning. Perhaps you had a lie-in. You know, when you stay in bed longer than usual, enjoying the fact that you don't have to get up. Then maybe you and your family or you and your friends did something fun on Saturday. Maybe you went to a museum or something like that. Maybe you went on a bike ride. Maybe you made some sandwiches and packed the sandwiches along with some cheese and some sliced ham or something like that, some salami or something, and then you packed all of your food and something to drink into a bag and went off for a picnic. I love picnics. Sandwiches, cheese, salami, and of course, some ice-cold cava, that fantastic Spanish sparkling wine, which is just as good as champagne, but not nearly as expensive or French. So, you should all be ready for the start of the week. Are you all ready for the start of the week? I hope so, because it's already started. All right, people, hopefully you're all ready, because it's time for us to start too. Okay, now, what about the present perfect? Well, what about it? We know how to make this tense, don't we? Yes, of course we do. We use the verb to have as an auxiliary verb and then add the main verb of the sentence in the past participle form, that is, in the third form of the verb. Now, we saw the 4 areas where we used the present perfect, didn't we? Shall we have another look at what they were? Event in past connected to present. Event began in past and continues until now. Life experience until time of speaking. Recent or very recent events and states. Okay, now Do you all remember what I told you about the four groups? Yes, that's right. I mentioned that the four groups sometimes get a bit confused. The lines which separate the four groups aren't very distinct sometimes. Sometimes the lines are blurred. Now, before we go any further, let's just check that word, blurred. So, any ideas? Well, for a start, the word that we're looking at, blurred, is an adjective. And we also have another adjective which means the same thing, blurry. But we also have the verb to blur. All right, now, all of these, blur, blurred and blurry, are connected to the same idea, obviously. And that idea is of something not being clearly visible. Think about a camera, for example. If we try to take a photo or something from a moving car, then possibly the camera can't focus in time. And what does that mean? Yes, that means that the photo we take will be out of focus. It'll be blurred or blurry, like this one. This is a photo I took out of a moving car. And as you can all see, it's not clear, it's not focused, it's blurry, it's blurred. So that's one reason for something being blurred. It's moving too fast for us to focus on it properly. Just like the problems we get when we try to paint scenery from a moving train.
A pen. Eine Flachmattuche. A table. Eine Flachmattuche. A table. Eine Blitz ist an der Flachmattuche. The pen is on the table.
All right, so that's one reason for things being blurred or blurry, but we could have other reasons too. If you're crying, for example, or if you're cutting or slicing or dicing onions. And that's a point. Do you all know the difference between those ideas? Well, to cut is the most basic idea. We take something like an onion and we use a knife to divide it into smaller pieces. Okay, so that's cut. We take the onion, remove the skin, wash it, and then use a sharp knife to turn the onion into smaller pieces. We cut it into smaller pieces. Okay, now the verb to slice is just a different type of cutting. When we slice something, we cut it into thin pieces. Think about when you want to make a sandwich. You take a loaf of bread and you use a bread knife to slice the bread. You cut the bread into long, thin slices, and then you use the slices of bread to make your sandwich. Well, it's the same idea with other foods too. We can slice onions or tomatoes or potatoes or anything really. Okay, so cut is the basic verb. Slice tells us that we're cutting into a particular shape. Long, broad, wide, thin pieces. Okay, and what about diced? Well, the verb to dice merely means to cut into cubes. And what's a cube when it's not on a cutting board? Well, think about the most well-known, the most famous cube in the world. And it's Hungarian. Yes, the Rubik's Cube. It's a cube, a symmetrical shape with 6 equal sides like this one. But this one isn't finished. Give me a minute. Almost done, almost done. And... ooh, what do you say to that, eh? Pretty impressive. Now, the Rubik's Cube is more fun, obviously. Now, think about something else which has got the same shape. Think about another cube we know. Yes, okay, we could have cubes of cheese, but think about another cube that we know. Exactly. Dice are the same shape. They're also 6-sided cubes. Well, traditional dice are. I know that we get weird ones for people who play Dungeons and Dragons, dice like these. All right, but the original dice, those are cubes, not strange geometrical figures. All right, now, when we think of the verb to dice, that's the easiest thing to think of, a dice. When we dice food, we're turning it into the same form as a dice. We're turning the food into small cubes. That's what the verb to dice means, to cut food into small cubes. So, when you think about dicing food, remember, all you're doing is turning the food into small dices, into small Rubik's Cubes. All right, back to where we were. So, imagine that you're slicing or dicing onions and the onions are making your eyes water. They're making you cry. And this is not nice, obviously. But one thing that this causes, those tears in your eyes, is blurred vision. You can't see clearly because of the water, the tears in your eyes. So that's another reason something might be blurred. It might be moving very fast past you, or you might have something in your eyes. Think about when the police use pepper spray. Why do they do that? To make sandwiches and salads taste better? No. Everyone knows that pepper spray isn't very nice on sandwiches and salads. Real, normal, ground pepper is a much better idea. No. The police spray pepper spray into the eyes and face of someone who is fighting them to make it harder for that person to fight. Imagine that you're fighting a policeman. You can see where the policeman is, you can see him clearly, and you can move, attack, defend yourself, and maneuver to avoid his attacks, and then counterattack. But when the policeman sprays pepper spray, and remember, this isn't salt and pepper spray, this isn't nice, easy pop rap. When you think about the pepper spray that the police use, don't think about this. No, that's salt and pepper, and that's a little bit softer than the pepper spray that the police use. The police use pepper spray which is based on hot paprika. It's based on the capsicum family of peppers, and no, it's not like the pepper you put into or onto your food. No, this pepper is much, much stronger. This pepper is more like this. Yes, not the same thing at all, is it? No. So remember not to get confused when you're cooking, all right? All right, now back to the fight with the policeman. The reason that the policeman sprays pepper spray into your eyes is connected to the words we were talking about earlier. Yes, the policeman wants to make it easier for him to fight you. So he sprays pepper spray into your face and eyes, and one of the results of this action is that you start to cry. The pepper is an irritant. It irritates your eyes, and your body tries to stop this irritation. Your body tries to wash the irritant out of your eyes by producing tears, water in your eyes, so that the irritant will be washed away. All right, and when this happens, we get a repeat of the onion effect. The same thing happens. Your eyes fill up with water, and you can't see clearly. You can't focus properly. Your vision is blurred. Okay. And think about the present perfect idea again. We know that we've got 4 categories, and I told you that the lines between these categories aren't distinct, but blurred. Well, think about what happens if we draw or write something with a fountain pen, with a pen which is full of liquid ink, one of these. Okay, so we all know what a fountain pen is, and we all know what the problem with fountain pens is, don't we? Yes, because the ink in a fountain pen is liquid, we have to wait for it to dry on the paper. If we don't, and we touch the ink, what happens? Yes, that's right, we smear the ink. We make a mess of the ink, and that means that the lines are now blurred. It's harder to see where one begins and the other one ends. And that's the situation we have with these categories. The lines between these categories are blurred. They're not clearly defined. This one could fit into that category, or maybe this one, or that one, or both. This is just the way that things are with the present perfect. But really, at the end of the day, it doesn't make too much difference. We'll learn when to use and when not to use the present perfect, and then the difference, or lack of difference, between the different categories becomes irrelevant, doesn't it?
And so, just like that, Monday comes to a close. Wow, that's not strictly true, is it? No, we all know that Monday doesn't stop just because our English lesson stops, does it? No, but what we also do know is that our time for the day is slowly coming to a close. Yes, our 15 minutes, all the time we need to boil a whole load of eggs, that time is almost up. And so, I'm going to bid you all farewell. Have fun, people, and I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, it's coffee for me and what? Chores for you? Or homework? Or perhaps it's time for you to start thinking about dinner, or taking the dog for a walk, or feeding the rabbits, or playing frisbee with the llamas. I don't know, only you know. Anyway, Whatever you do, or have to do, make sure that you have fun when you're doing it. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have fun. See you later. www.mediaclick.hu. Bye!